Welcome back, sports fans. To wrap up the second show, I thought I'd discuss a little bit about how, when I first heard about it, all this, what was going on, and that was you had the conference tournaments in college basketball. I'm not surprised the NCAA tournament was canceled for both the men and the ladies. It's the only move that you could make with that. I think now that we're 2 weeks into this and looking back on it, I think what shell-shocked me the most is how much money the NCAA actually makes from it. I thought they were standing to lose hundreds of millions of dollars, but that number topped out at $4 billion. And while that's no small chunk of change by any means, that's a big price to pay for somebody's health. Not that I think the NCAA should not have done it, and not that I don't think they'll recoup it, because next year, presumably, if things go on as normal and there is a tournament, there's going to be that much more excitement. And I think that's true of just about every sport. And I think you will see ratings increase for each sporting event that takes place next year that hasn't this year, outside of, let's say, the Summer Olympics. With that having been said, it's still something that we don't have college basketball this year. The first time you haven't had an NCAA tournament since it began in 1939 for the men and 1982, I believe it was, for the females. Or 81 would have been the year before that. So 81 for the females and 1938 for the guys, since they started in 39 and 82 respectively, I believe it is. And it leaves this country craving, hungry, and maybe even in some cases desperate for sports. I'm not to the point where I'm going to say desperate yet, because I like what ESPN has done actually in showing clips and segments from the past. What I would like to see is I would like to see entire games. I think that's one way of celebrating this. I mean, you can watch the end of games all you want to, but sometimes you don't know how you get to the end of something until you look at it from the beginning and you have some perspective, especially if it was something that happened when you weren't around. For me, there are many moments like that. And for a lot of us, there are many moments like that. I'm sure most of us now don't remember what happened in the 50s. So all of that would be new to all of us. I mean, we may know, but we might not know inner details. Same thing with the 60s. And considering seemingly how many millennials and generation, what are we up to now, Z are out there, I mean, a lot of this, the 70s, 80s, that would all be new. So, there's a lot more history sports-wise for them to discover as well. And I think that's one thing we could do to fill the time while we are waiting for sports to resume. Another I would suggest is take a break. I started all of this as part of my break. And I know people, are not as, a lot of the people I know seemingly are not sports fans at all. Those who are may not agree with me on what they say, and that's fine. Or they may have other interests. I don't expect everybody to be a sports freak such as myself. But I think it's important during this time just take moments every so often and just to think about how lucky we are that we do have the sports that we have. And the fact that all of this right now seemingly is temporary, and I have no reason to believe that it's not. But if ESPN can do what it's doing, then I think all of us can do that as well. There's certainly enough sports clips on YouTube, or you can certainly listen to certain sports people who have just started their own channel during all this too. That's perfectly welcome. But I think just time to reflect. And I think also, even though we're not to November yet, just time to be grateful and thankful for what we do have. Not just sports-wise, but entirely. Because if nothing else, what we have is we have the gift of life, and we have the gift, for those of us who are in the U.S., we have the privilege of being an American. And I think that's part of the heart and the fabric that makes sports as great as it is. Outside of the competition, the battle, the war, and all the rest that you want to say. And that's why sports is so important to us. It's also sports that keeps us from battling each other in fisticuffs on the street and taking up weapons and attacking each other. Because it's the closest form of legal violence that we have. And without it, some of us really need that sports fix. I'm not going to say I'm one of those people right now. If I do, hey, I'm lucky. I've got ESPN I can watch, I have Fox Sports Network I can watch. I'm blessed. But I also have the ability to do something like this with the sports channel. And I don't know what's going to happen with it. I hope to continue it. I don't know, how regular the shows are going to be. We'll see. I mean, whenever I get a chance, that's when it'll be. And I'm not proclaiming to be the next Dan Patrick or Mike Tirico or a lot of them. I'm not Al Michaels. Al Michaels certainly knows a lot more about football than I do. No question. He's lived a lot longer too. But I do have thoughts. They may not be mainstream thoughts to a lot of you. And I will challenge you, sports-wise. I will make you think. But hopefully I will give you a bit of a different perspective on things. And not just the, lines like the quote-unquote sports people want to. And certainly, if you're watching a certain show on a particular Detroit channel on Sunday nights with a certain blonde, there's no question I feel like what I offer is at least 10 times better than what she has to offer. So, think about it. And if you like it, you like it. If you like it a lot, please subscribe. I'd appreciate it. Until the next show and the next time, my name is Ed Moss. I'm signing off. This is the Ed Sports Channel. Good night, everyone.